one of the areas in which there's been a move and an innovation, and which I've also been involved with, but not necessarily through the field, through outside, is the interest in the environment and doing history in the Anthropocene. And so there is interest in environmental history, there are interests in environmental movements, there are, and a lot of the older areas in Chinese history, like for instance, what was known as the New Qing history, which is, about the history of the Manchus and the extent to which the Manchus, the question there was the extent to which the Manchus were a Chinese or a Central Asian empire, and those were the kinds of questions that were being debated. Were they actually creating something that the Chinese nationalists could inherit, or did they have a different vision of Central Asia? But those issues, I think, are now not, but what we are finding also is lots of scholars who do late Qing history, who are in one way or the other, may also be connected to Qing history of this period. They're doing a lot of stuff on the environment. For instance, Schlesinger has written a book on the Manchu idea, on first the circulation of all kinds of distant products into China from the Pacific Oceans and from the European fur trade and from the Manchurian fur trade and so on. And one of the things apparently he argues, I have yet to read the book closely, is that the Manchus began to themselves recognize that there was a lot of overconsumption going on, and that they then tried to create some reservations pretty much at the same time that people in America were trying to protect the commons, and John Muir and so on. So those are sort of interesting sort of parallels. There's also a great deal of attention to China in global history, and how China interacts with global history, and the other way around. And there's a lot of work, and this is being projected back very much into early periods. Now everybody is talking about how the Tang Empire and so on was cycled through by all kinds of different forces. So one area which I think still doesn't have sufficient, if not intra-Asian, if not global, but intra-Asian kind of activities, is the so-called medieval economic revolution in China, the Sung economic revolution. We still don't have a very good sense of the regional connectivities and so on of that. But more and more people are looking at a much wider canvas than the nation of China itself when they study China. So environment and region and global, I think, are two very important new areas.